Everyone, and it's 6 o'clock, and we love to get started on time. Today, we're going to talk about lessons from 21 lives that define Indian spirituality with Nityanand, who's a monk and a spiritual advisor. I know for a lot of us, the path to spiritual understanding, especially, it can be a confusing one, but role models could still help us find our way back. He has written a new book. It's called Icons of Grace. Respected ISKCON monk Nityanand introduces readers to the lives of 21 extraordinary people who served as spiritual guides through their teachings and through their personal example. Nityanand is a practicing monk at the Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, ISKCON in Chowpatty in Mumbai, and is a visionary who wishes to revolutionize the current urban scenario by aiding people to lead a life of purpose, fulfillment, and satisfaction. He also specializes in guiding today's youth to reconnect with their root and lead a simple, happy life. I think that's something that all of us are aspiring to do. So in the book, he covers a lot of great souls, from Mirabai to Sant, Tukaram to Adi Shankaracharya, the practical demonstrations and the most essential spiritual principles. In relating them, he aims not only to record the richness of their cultural and spiritual legacies, but also to convey to readers the lesson one can learn through their daily actions and choices. The book is actually very inspiring. It's very easy to read. I loved it and I'm still reading it. Each of them reads like a story. So you can just pick one up and you can kind of follow and understand the richness and get the inspiration. So welcome, Nityanand. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So tell us, and we always like to hear about your journey also and the plans that Krishna had for you, because you are a very big devotee of Krishna. And you say in your book, you reached your 40s, as many of us do, and you found yourself riddled and rudderless, searching, seeking, and failing miserably. Many of us feel this way. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found your path.
Okay. Before I begin, a lot of people have joined through the link which I shared directly. So all of you have my names against your name. So you can just rename yourself. So there is only one Nityanand Charan Das.
Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have already renamed you as Swamiji, so people can.
Okay. Okay. As far as my journey is concerned, I'm literally bold. I mean, literally bored telling this for years. But since this is a new platform, I can just share briefly. So I grew up in a household where, of course, Krishna was not in the picture. It was not an atheistic house, but we were worshippers of Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati, and that is something we find in entire North India. They are the two most popular deities. And gradually I kept moving because my father was in army, and living in that kind of environment, I also developed a desire to become an army officer. And of course, after I completed my 10th, 11th, I did appear in exams. And so when the interview came, something happened, something mystical, and where I was supposed to, I knew the correct answer, and I was asked this thing twice in 2 days. And something else came out of my mouth. And every time I said, I gave the wrong answer, I couldn't figure out why I said that. And so I couldn't make it to this army life. And then I started doing my engineering, which was in Baramati, Pune, near Pune. And that's where I met the monks of the Hare Krishna movement, the Hare Krishna temple, ISKCON, because I was very much interested in acquiring mystic perfections. So I was studying a lot of books about the Himalayan yogis, the gurus who would teach that. So probably if I wasn't sitting here, I would have been in the Himalayas somewhere. But that was becoming like a passion. And therefore, wherever I would see a bookstall, I would just run up to the bookstall and buy as many books as possible related to some tantra, mantra, yantra, all that. So when I saw a book distribution party, a bus, because in ISKCON they have a tradition where they travel in small buses and distributing this literature, Bhagavad Gita, and the books related to that. So when I looked at the bookstall, I just ran up to them and I looked for the books which I was always hunting for. And I couldn't find one because there was nothing Tantra, Mantra, Yantra. It was like deep philosophy. So I asked them, do you have a book on Lord Shiva? And they said no. They said, then I said, I'm not interested. And my friend started talking to them because he was from Mumbai, they were from Mumbai. And gradually, next day, they had a seminar in our college, which we were not interested in at all. We wanted to go and play cricket, but eventually we decided we will enter the seminar hall and we'll see what it is. Because when I saw those monks, I said, oh, let's wait, because these people speak good English. For the first time, I had come across somebody, a monk who is speaking good English. But the monk I had met the previous day was a different one. And these two monks were different. I had no idea why those words came out of my mouth. We were exiting the college building and I didn't know that these were connected, but I just said. And we ended up attending that seminar, and I don't remember a single word from that. In fact, we were very naughty, some of my friends. So the water which was kept for those monks, the devotees, they just drank and put that empty vessel, empty glass on the table. So in college, all these things happen. And so they had a seminar on secret of happiness. I was always the kind who would never ask any questions, just hearing everything. But I don't remember anything. In the end, they announced that they would like to conduct some Gita classes every week. And I had this desire once in my lifetime. I want to understand what Gita is all about. So we offered our cottage. We were living in a cottage. There were hostels also, hostel buildings, and there were some cottages also, which were given to some students. So we offered our cottage, which was like a 2 BHK cottage, and we started having Gita classes, and we could immediately connect, me and some of my friends. So it came to a point where even if we were going to play cricket or football, as soon as we would hear that devotees had come for the class, we would leave everything behind and run. And the main attraction was not the lecture, of course, that we just loved their association, and we just wait for the prasad in the end, little prasad they would get for us. That's how things started. And we would just wait for the prasad. The lecture wasn't that interesting for us, at least for me. So then after the first year, they told us they would like to rent an apartment outside the college campus where we could practice spirituality at the same time study. And we agreed immediately. So we asked them, are there any rules that we need to follow? They said, no rules. So I said, all right. So we said yes. And just a day before we were to move into a new apartment, I went to the town and came back and I said, what did they discuss? They said, no movies. No movies after you move into that apartment. And I was in like shock for 2 hours, depression. I said, no movies. And I kept doing my homework and I was thinking, no movies. And suddenly a thought just popped up. On one side, I have Krishna. On the other side, I have movies. It was an easy choice. When you weigh the pros and cons, and I see Krishna on one side, and that made it easy. So we just went. And I still remember that first morning, because one of the rules was we had to get up early, 5 o'clock. And living in a college life, and I would never get up at 5 o'clock. It was too early for me. In my whole life, I had never woken up at 5. And I clearly remember, I can still feel it. I woke up at 5, they switched on the lights. And there were 3 of us living in the room, and I just kept sitting on my bed, and I was like so miserable. The most miserable person in the world at that time. And I was thinking, kahan phas gaya? Literally, these were my words. It was so painful to wake up at 5 o'clock, and I decided that day itself, said, I'm going to just leave it. I can't do it. In the evening, I'll just go and tell my father on phone, and that's it. So I went in the evening to an STD booth. In those days, STD mobiles were still rare. And I took that coin to call him. Those phones were there. And suddenly I stopped. Something rang in my mind, or literally somebody telling something into my ears. Because Within that 1 year, I had visited the temple at Chowpatty, Mumbai. And once one devotee had sat with us for 2 hours, we were just talking, he was talking to us. And one line he had mentioned, which I had not noticed then, and I didn't remember at all, but at the right moment, those words just rang in my ears from the Gita, where Krishna says, in this world, that which is like nectar in the beginning becomes poison in the end. And that which is poison in the beginning becomes nectar in the end. So I was thinking, oh, wait, this is tasting like poison now. Maybe it will turn into nectar. Who knows? So I didn't put that coin. I came back and continued. And that's how things happen. And one after the other, um, some attachments Krishna took away, deep attachments which even I wasn't aware of. And a lot of struggle. I still had the desire of being an army officer. So imagine from nowhere in that remote college, one day just two army officers just appear and they randomly start interviewing people. And two people are selected, me and one of my friends, my roommate only. And again, I went for the interview at Bhopal. There are only three places: Bangalore, Bhopal, and Prayag. First time I failed in Prayag. This was Bhopal. I had been to Bangalore also. So I failed in all three places. The main interview. But that desire was there. So I went to Bhopal, but I realized it wasn't me. I didn't belong to that world anymore now, because I was used to chanting my malas and I couldn't relate to all that stuff which the boys would talk about 3, 5 days, 8 days, whatever I stayed. So I realized that was it. So that desire was also gone. And when the engineering was completed, I just came to the temple, joined. So now when you look back, you can just connect all the dots. So many things happened, so many failures, why they were happening. So eventually, I feel that whatever happens, like Ishopanishad says, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. It means that the Lord is complete and his creation is also complete. There is no loophole, not even a single loophole. So every situation we are in, every situation we find ourselves in today or tomorrow, or if we have found in the past, we should know that just the perfect situation for us. If we think that is not good for me, it's not happening the way this is not good, this is not, that means we are finding faults with the Lord's creation, which is not true. So we have to understand that every situation we are in, it is just custom made personally by the Lord, directly in the case of devotees, indirectly through his energies for our growth, provided we have the eyes and to see and the ears to hear and the intelligence to understand. So if we think that this situation is not good for me, this shouldn't have happened, that shouldn't have happened, this should not happen, that means we are thinking that God is imperfect, which is not true. So every situation is just tailor-made for our benefit. So in that sense, everything that happens is good. And we may not be able to understand today. If we are patient, maybe 2 years later, 4 years later, we will understand. So why certain things happen, failures. So everything is there to teach us something, failures and success also. So that's what I realized, that now you look back and you feel proud that you failed. Otherwise, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here.
Your messages also in the book are simple, but please tell us more, because one of the big things that everybody faces when we're thinking about spiritual life, but you
Mhm.
say spiritual life is not a life of rejection, it's a life of connection. We do not have to give up anything, we simply have to add this valuable dimension to our life. Can you reflect more on that? That what is this valuable dimension that we need to add?
Yes. See, in the Vedas, in the scriptures, Bhagavad and other Puranas, the Vedic tradition mentions uh, that at a certain point you must detach yourself from the material complexities, because human life is especially meant for uh, the self-realization, God realization. That is the ultimate purpose. So, but the times we are living in now, Kali Yuga, which we are living in now, here 5 things are forbidden in the scriptures for Kali Yuga specifically. One is the sacrifices, like Ashwamedh Yajna people used to do horse sacrifices. Uh, and there are a few more. One of them is sannyas. Sannyas is forbidden in Kali Yuga. So it is expected that out of 100%, maybe 99.99% people would stay at home. So if they start feeling, or everybody starts feeling that no, I have to give up home to become perfect, and I cannot give up my home and responsibilities, so I will never become perfect. One may not even try. But the path of the Gita is very simple. Krishna is recommending, and he speaks the Gita for people like us, where he. So one of the names of the Gita is Yoga Shastra. Yoga means to link, to connect with the Supreme. So this is not just my message, this is Krishna's message. He tells this again and again to Arjuna, who wanted to run away from his prescribed duties. You don't have to run away. You be wherever you are. From there you try to connect with me through your karma, through your dhyana, through your jnana, through your bhakti. So spiritual life is a life of connection, not rejection. Means we don't have to give up anything. We have to add. It's a misconception that when we take to spiritual life, ghar chhodna padega, parivar chhodna padega, ye chhodna padega. No, you can still go on eating, you can still go on enjoying, earning money, living in a palatial house, and you just add one more member to your life, God. You like to eat, okay, nobody's forbidden you from eating, so you first offer it to the Lord first, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it, then you eat it, then it becomes prasad, mercy. You want to live in a palatial house, live. So you can also have a small temple for the Lord where you worship him with your family. You have your wealth, you can enjoy, you can use a part of it to serve him also. You can have festivals at home, you can build a temple, or you can facilitate at home discourses where his message could be discussed, or you can help where it is being discussed. So these are the things that we are not taking anything out of our life, we are just adding this valuable dimension, and that should never be a problem, addition. Because people in Kali Yuga, when it comes to spirituality, they are misers. So they will have time for everything. But when it comes to spirituality, they have something called no time disease. And we keep procrastinating the most valuable thing in life when we don't even know, okay, what will happen next moment. So in Kali Yuga, say there was a miserly person, and a person who is miser, he doesn't know he doesn't have the habit of giving. So he was going down in quicksand. So somebody came and said, give me your hand, give me your hand, give me your hand. And he's just standing like this. He's not giving his hand. बोला हाथ दो हाथ दो हाथ दो. वो हाथ नहीं दे रहा है उनको, जो उनको बचाने आया है. ऐसे खड़ा है और he's going down, sinking. Then somebody shouted, hey बाबा, ये miser है, कंजूस है, ये देने की भाषा नहीं समझता, इसको बोलो मेरा हाथ लो. He said, मेरा हाथ लो. The लो बोला तो immediately he held on to his hand. So the Lord also understands our thinking patterns, and therefore he is not come to take away anything from us, he is just come to give himself addition. Otherwise the scriptures are very clear. Every big achievement on a material platform is like a big zero, because it can end any moment. But adding God, now do thousands of zeros have any value? The spiritual perspective, from the absolute perspective. But as soon as you add one before those zeros, each zero becomes valuable. Each zero adds to the value. So God is like that one. As soon as we add him, every zero, every other achievement, everything that we acquire, everything that we accomplish becomes valuable. And that's a human life. We are not supposed to simply advance materially, but we are also expected to advance spiritually. Vedanta Sutra explains, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, that as soon as a human being is born, he must inquire about the absolute truth. That's his duty. So this one dimension is lacking. So the whole world is turning to India when it comes to spirituality. So the Indians are forgetting their own culture. So the book which I write, Icons of Grace, is simply an attempt to revive that spiritual legacy. This is our history we have forgotten. This is the connection that we have given up. You see, even if you go all over the world, ultimately, where is the world turning to? Ayurveda, organic, Vastu, yoga, meditation. Where is this coming from? Our scriptures are giving all this. So many people, I mean, a lot of them are online also. You can ask them if I have ever told them in the last 7, 8 years that you have to give up this, you have to give up that. Because our process is not detachment. Our process is attachment to God. So we believe in the positive way of reformation. You don't have to give up. You have to add. You don't have to detach. You have to become attached. So most of the times our problems are not attachments, but misplaced attachments, misplaced priorities. So spiritual life is simply getting our priorities right. Most of the times our problems are uh, misplaced, unwanted desires. The spiritual life is, or the path of Bhagavad Gita is not giving up your desires. No, that can never happen. We can never become desireless. The path is, the process is to purify our desires. You can have so many, but have the right ones, purified desires. Like you tell your children, na, oh no, this is not good for you. You do this. So one of the ways to tell the child, if the child is naughty, don't do this, sit in one corner. The child can sit. But for how long? It's his nature to be naughty. So better is engage him in some positive activity. That is a better solution. So spiritual life means it's not asking to give up attachment to lower tastes of this world, but simply focusing on gaining a higher taste. When the senses get a higher taste, automatically lower tastes are given up. Like our ears, people are very, very receptive, I would say, and they are very eager to hear someone's criticism, faults, and that excites them the most. However, if you want to speak about, say, a pure Bhagavad Katha or Bhagavad Gita is being advertised, how many people will get interested? This is the age we are living in, which can actually sanctify our uh, all of us internally, our mind, our consciousness, our heart. So all that, um, all those distractions for the senses can be done away with when we engage our senses in something higher. Eyes in seeing the beautiful form of the Lord every day at home or in temple, ears in hearing his message from the scriptures, tongue in tasting the food which is offered to him, chanting his names, like that. So that way, not trying to give up the lower taste, but focusing on giving the senses a higher taste. Automatically, lower taste will go away. Just like habits, may they say, na, one of the best ways to give up a bad habit is to replace it with a good habit. To cultivate a good habit, automatically that will be taken care of. So that's what spiritual life is. We focus more on connection rather than rejection. Whatever needs to be rejected, it will happen at the right time. But at this stage, prematurely, if we try to give up things, we may just end up giving things which we are not, or we may just end up being insensitive to our surroundings, to our family, which is not expected. Arjuna was not a saint. I would say so, not he was not a renunciant. He was a saintly person. He was a young man. He was wealthy. He was powerful, knowledgeable, and he was still a great devotee, connected to God. That's what life is. You don't have to give up to run away or wear saffron to be a great saint. Anyone, a woman can be a saint. There are so many, like my book mentions Mirabai as the first one. Now, there are many, even I've been trying to do some research on the women saint. Maybe in future, I might come up with a book on them also, exclusively. Women who inspired so many on this path. We have Mirabai, we have Anusuya Devi, we have Draupadi. There are so many who were examples of devotion, and they were also living in their families. They were discharging their responsibilities so well, and their name and fame is eternal. So we just focus the mind on positive and not on, oh, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that, I don't have to be attached to this. That's a negative way. That never works. Instead, tell the mind what to do, and that will take care of what is not to be done automatically, because automatically the negative gets replaced by something positive. Hope I answered your question. I didn't
Yes, you
confuse
did.
you.
I know you talk about positivity, but Nityanandji, a lot of us are always perplexed because there's so much negativity in the world. And Lata is also
Yes,
asking this question because when we say that, okay, whatever we see is the God's creation, but when we see things like the Nirbhaya rape or a child
right.
not doing well, how do we explain that? And what was good
Yes,
about that? And how do we understand it?
it was not good. See, good and bad, both things are simultaneously existing in this world. Like the Padma Purana says, uh, two types of people have always been existing in this world, and they are uh, good and the bad. And there has always been a constant struggle between the two. And this is going to happen because whoever is in this world, all of us, including all of us, are rebellious souls who rebelled against God's laws at some point, and now we are in the material world. Like, we are not the residents of the material world, we are the residents of the spiritual world. All of us, whether we know it or we don't know it. That's why the first teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is we are the souls, spiritual beings. We are not material bodies. We are living in the material body, but we are not matter. So anybody who is in the material world, we have to understand, is a rebellious soul who is used to misusing his free will. And as soon as a person turns away from God, he comes under the laws of karma. So one thing I read uh, in the case of Yudhishthir Maharaj, 2017 or 16, I don't remember the exact year, there was a fire in Kamla Mills in Mumbai. You must have heard about that. And 10, 14 or maybe 20 people left their body, and two were very close to me. And both ladies were coming to my classes. One was around 43, one was 36. And the 43 one was very gentle, simply she would sit at the back, smile and hear and go away. The other one, 36-year-old girl, was very, very, very intense in her devotion. And I had just met her for 2 months, but I could immediately feel there is some divine connect she has. And we had finished a Gita course, 6-session Gita course. We were looking forward to the actual Gita now, verse by verse, in January. And 27th, this happened. She left, and the other lady left, and I was shocked. It took me a month to come out of it. And so one of my seniors, he made me read a purport from Bhagavatam, where he mentions that this material world is a horrible place. And in fact, Krishna has already defined this world as Dukhalyam in the Bhagavad Gita. So if somebody is complaining why there is so much dukkha, it's like standing in the middle of the ocean, why there are so many waves. We are in the wrong place. That's the nature of the ocean. So this is the fundamental understanding we all must have. We are in a wrong place. This is not our home. That is why there is death, and the soul has to go somewhere. 13 days we are figuring out after the person dies where the soul might have gone. There are spiritual planets, there is heavenly world, there is hellish planets, there is a middle planetary system. So there are spiritual planets as well, where life is eternal. When the soul gets liberated, goes back, and there they can live happily eternally. But this material world, Krishna has defined as Dukhalayam, a place of Dukha. So if you go to a place called Vidyalaya, what are we supposed to get prominently? Why are we going there prominently? What are you expected to get in a Vidyalaya?
Learning.
Learning, Vidya. So if you go to a place which is called Pustakalaya, books, you will get books. You may have few other things also, but prominently books. Madiralaya. Madiralaya is mainly Madira, wine. But you may have few other things also, but mainly Madira. Similarly, Krishna, the creator, defines this world as Dukhalaya. So how can we expect eternal, permanent happiness here if the place itself has this nature? So then this devotee, when he saw me, I was so shattered. So this world is such a place. So he made me read one purport, because I used to believe, and it is a fact to a great extent, that whatever happens in this world, like whatever happened to me, I take it as my own doing. Some kuch to past mein kiya hoga, therefore I failed. But then he made me read one thing which totally changed my perspective, where Bhishma Pitama is lying on the bed of arrows and he's instructing Yudhishthir. And in that purport, Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he writes, Yudhishthir was sinless throughout his life. He did not even retaliate against Duryodhan. And he was very gentle, respectful. He was sinless. Still, such a person had to go through so much pain. So, purport mein Prabhupada writes, this material world is such a place that even if you are the most pious person, you might still have to go through trauma. So this is the nature of, because in this world, mostly rebellious souls reside and they have their free will to misuse it. And because of the misuse of their free will, many times the pious souls also have to suffer. So that's why you see all these things keep taking place. And those people who do such obnoxious things, horrible things, they have to suffer. Because one may think, okay, I can escape the laws of the state, but one can never escape the laws of the universe, laws of God. Everything will be taken care of. So that's why people misusing free will. And at the right time, karma will strike to those who do wrong. Like Duryodhana, now even though Yudhishthira is sinless, but he was trying to always trouble them, always conspiring, but eventually he had to face. So what separates a person from getting the reaction to what he has done? Just time. So just like there are seeds, you sow mustard seeds, they come out in 2-3 days. You sow pomegranate, mango seeds, they may come out in 10 years, 9 years, or maybe more. So similarly, karma is of two types, instant and delayed. Sometimes the reaction comes immediately, sometimes it comes after some time. It could be years, it could be lifetime. But one thing is for sure, it is a very, very precise law. Nobody can escape. Hare Krishna.
There's one more law that everybody gets perplexed by, as Lord Krishna says, do your work. Do your work, focus on your work, but don't focus on the result. Please explain this. And we're also getting a couple of questions. I will also give them to you so that you can take them. Sia says, how do we define what is good and bad?
Okay.
And I've got a private message, who doesn't agree that this world is full of misery, that we should focus on the good and leave the rest to the Lord. Even in misery, we should trust in the Lord's plan.
So that is the philosophy that we are supposed to follow. Yes.
And one more question. Can you prove karma?
Let's go one by one.
Yes.
So you tell me the first question.
The first question is about do your work.
Do your work. Yes. So what is the question?
That we are always told that do your work, don't focus on the result, but it's very, very hard.
Yeah. No, that is for our own well-being, because the results don't just depend on our own efforts. Bhagavad Gita explains there are 5 factors responsible for the success of any action. One is the individual, like you and me. Second is the place of action. Third is the endeavor. Endeavor is just one of the factors. Fourth is the destiny. And fifth is the will of the providence, the will of the Lord, His grace. So when we work, so the results may not necessarily come the way we want, because whatever seeds we have sown in the past, they are fructifying now. And whatever seeds we sow now will fructify in the future. So if we remain attached to the results, imagine, and the result may not come because of some past mistake. But if we remain attached, then who suffers the most? Anxiety, though we only have to handle. So detachment, not detachment to not doing your duty, but detachment to the result means accepting whatever comes after putting in your best. That will only help you handle the situation in a more dignified way. Because life is simply not about success. That's why I tell parents, don't just keep teaching your children to be successful. Don't just keep teaching your children to be successful. Teach them also that how to handle failures. How to handle failures, because eventually they will come. This world is a world of duality. Second chapter, Krishna explains happiness, distress, honor, dishonor, praise, criticism, profit, loss, friend, enemy, good, bad. This is the nature of the world. So we have to learn to tolerate both. And tolerating means accepting the good wholeheartedly by remaining humble, not taking the credit. Okay, by God's grace, this has happened. You still enjoy the facility, but you acknowledge that there's the grace part also, which has worked along with our effort. And if we fail, if we don't get it, we don't become overly depressed about it, because life should not be defined by one failure. We have to learn from those who have gone from failure to failure and then became a huge success. There are countless examples, even in the recent times also I have seen. So now, just like when I was doing some research for the book or trying to reach out to the publishers, so one most famous author of today, he was rejected by 20 publishers initially. 20 publishing houses. Now he's the number one person in the publishing, in the author's world, best-selling person. Yes, Amish, somebody's writing. 20, and similarly you find many others also. So what Krishna is trying to teach here, that be attached to doing your duty, don't be attached to the result, is just to help us only grow. Because results, this world is something like everything will not happen always the way you want. The most unrealistic expectation to have in this world, which is a short recipe for disaster, anxiety, is to think that everybody should be happy with me, everybody should agree to what I say, or everybody should work the way I want. That's unrealistic. Have some realistic expectations. Okay, sometimes you will pass, sometimes you may not succeed, sometimes you will be successful, and sometimes you might fail. Use that as a learning experience and continue. So not being attached to the results means accepting whatever comes after giving your best effort, after putting in your best effort, and not giving up. Because if you are attached to the result, if it comes our way, we become complacent or overly happy or proud. Okay, in most of the cases, and if we get depressed, then when we are depressed because the result is not come our way, then we lose so much of our time and mental energy, which could be used for some constructive work. And we have to understand human life is a life of choices. where every moment is a choice. No matter what we have done till the last moment, at the present moment, we can still rectify our entire past. And no matter how well we have played in the past, by playing a wrong innings now, we can spoil our future. So every moment is a choice. We are the products of our own choices.
Now,
Yeah.
Nityanand, I know we have a hard stop at 6:40. We have lots of questions. How to define good and bad? How do you prove karma? How do you know that you're on the right path? So I'm just giving you three
Okay.
of them.
Okay. So good and bad, yes. That's where just like if you're living in a city like Delhi or Mumbai, who has defined um, red signal is when you stop, green you go, yellow you be ready. Who defines that? The government, right? They make the laws. Or in a company, the owner defines what the laws will be, what the protocol will be. Similarly, in the universal government of the Lord has made certain. Now I cannot say, oh, I will not stop at red signal because my favorite color is pink. I will not stop unless they turn it into pink. Now that's like uh, that won't make any difference to the lawmakers. Similarly, in the universal government of the Lord makes laws, and those laws are given in the scriptures. So scriptures are known as the law books, and that should be the foundation to decide what is dharma and what is adharma. Number one, what is good and bad. Generally, we end up deciding what is good and bad based on what we feel and think is right, or what people around us feel and think is right, or what the majority of the population is doing. But that shouldn't be the standard, because eventually we will be judged based on the law books, what the law says. People around us may go on saying so many. So scriptures are the basis, and therefore it is important to stay in touch with this subject matter. Number two, but if you want to understand the scriptures, you need to be guided by a proper guru. Just like in any field, if you want to learn something, you go to a coach. Football, if you want to learn, you want to learn designing, you want to be a businessman, you have somebody you learn from. You go to schools, you send your children to colleges, institutions. Similarly, in a spiritual field, that person is known as guru, because the scriptures talk about uh, what is good and what is bad in general, but the application part has to be understood from somebody who has understood the essence, because in many cases dharma becomes adharma and adharma might become dharma. So where to apply what, there we need guidance of a higher intelligence. Second question, how do you prove karma? So scriptures are the basis if you want to understand what is right and what is wrong ultimately. And the first and basic step is accepting a bona fide guru, somebody who knows the essence and who can teach us the essence, who speaks not from his mind but based on shastra, and who can explain. Now so many people could have like crores of followers and they may just go on speaking their mind out, but a true guru will always speak on the basis of scriptures. So whatever he speaks must be verified with the scriptures. Secondly, this has become a norm. Like I have experienced this. Many times people come to hear such discussions, discourses, Gita, or whatever I'm doing. People already come with their mindset, a particular mindset, and they already believe in something and they don't want to change, and therefore they have closed the doors to their mind also. And based on that, they will keep judging the speaker also. If the speaker agrees to what they are saying, then it's fine. Otherwise, they have their own. So such people can never be taught. Such people can never be convinced, and they will never learn also. So the first step towards learning is humility. 13th chapter of the Gita, Krishna mentions 20 items of knowledge. One of them is humility. So if you want to learn something, we have to have an open mind and we have to have faith in the scriptures. If there is no faith in the scriptures, then there's no point arguing with such people, because you go to South India, uh, even now there are debates that happen between the Shivites and the Vaishnavas, the devotees of Shiva and devotees of Vishnu. But they happen in a very dignified way. And no, the other person is not even considered qualified to sit in the debate if he is not quoting from some authority. Like our mind can throw thousands of thoughts. Based on that, we keep arguing, okay, what is your authority? What is your basis? You're all like frogs in the well. We have lived in a well and we don't know what an ocean looks like. And therefore, we are judging everything based on our surroundings. So, if we do not have faith in scriptures, if we cannot uh, keep an open mind to hear from scriptures, then we shouldn't even argue. And we shouldn't just keep posing questions if we are not wanting to learn. So that has to be taken into consideration, because a lot of people just keep talking their mind out, and they are just there to argue and not willing to learn. Yeah, so coming to your point, how do you prove karma? The proof is all around. People have different starting points in life. Somebody's born poor, somebody's born rich, somebody's wealthy, somebody's beautiful, somebody's not so beautiful, somebody's born healthy, somebody's born with a silver spoon, somebody's born with a deformed limb, somebody's born with a disease. So that is because the different starting points are there because of the past life actions that people have performed. Just like in a cricket match, a test match, life is not a test match or a T20 game, it is a multi-innings game. So test match has multi-innings. So if I enter a stadium and I have no knowledge about the uh, test match, so I see one team just got out scoring 250 runs and other team comes in to bat, their score reads 275 from the beginning, and I might say, oh, this is unjust, this is fixed, this team worked so hard, played and scored 250, and this team is starting only from 275. And then somebody who knows the game comes and tells me and says, Baba, they have already played an innings before, so therefore their starting point is different. So if they have scored 100 runs in the previous inning, their score would start from 101. So this is the reason, because of the past. However, well or badly we have played in our past life, that's where we begin in this life. And this cannot be challenged at all. This law is applicable to everyone within this world. Laws are universal, they can't be changed. What was the third question?
How do we know we are on the right path? And please then tell us about the book, because I know we are running out of time and you have to run.
Yeah. So, how do we choose the right path? Please have a very, very, very sincere desire. So we need somebody to guide us, just like children. They are innocent. Somebody who's 1, 2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old, they need constant guidance, isn't it? To be guided on the right path by some superior authorities. Similarly, in life also, when it comes to life in general, we need to be constantly guided by higher intelligence. That is where the position of a guru becomes very important. So in the last few hundred years, maybe some degradation has taken place, but guru is a must. Now, I'm not saying, okay, so guru means kisi ko bhi paklo. No, I'm talking about bona fide guru, bona fide in bold. A guru is not defined by the number of followers he has, how well he speaks, or how charismatic he is. No. First and foremost is he himself must be a devotee of God. He must be connected, and he just preaches. A true guru will never attract people towards him. He will say, he will attract people towards God. He will never say surrender unto me. He'll say surrender to God. Take his shelter. He's there to glorify him. And he knows the scriptures well and he speaks based on that. The conclusion. So how do you find one? There are so many. So that's where I always say it's a dynamic path. Keep your desire very sincere. There is a system within this universe that even if you're sitting in the remotest corner of the universe, and if you have a sincere desire that you want to understand what is right, what is wrong, my dear Lord, just offer a humble prayer. Please guide me to the right person or send the right person into my life. The Lord will take that desire up as a priority and you will be guided to the right person, or that person will be sent to you. Have faith in this. Even if you are in the remotest jungles, there also you will be guided by someone. So our desire has to be sincere. But if our desire is like, I want a label of spirituality, some people want that. They just want a label of spirituality, but they're not serious about it. They just want to have something to say, oh, I also go, I also attend. Then that kind of person will enter your life and will keep you on that same level even after 20 years. But somebody who's very, very sincere, that kind of person will send into his life, because the Lord is sitting in everyone's heart as Paramatma. All we have to have is a sincere desire, and everything rest will fall into place.
Beautifully said. Swamiji, just tell us a little bit about Icons of Grace as we end for today.
Okay, so the book is about the lives of the 21 greatest saints that have walked on this planet. And the most prominent ones, although there are thousands and thousands, but I chose the most prominent ones. Some of them are well known in India, but only the names are known, the details are not known. And many of them they have made great contribution, but they are hidden. Their glories are hidden. So my attempt with this book is to make everyone aware of their glory and our own spiritual, the glory of our own spiritual legacy. This is the kind of legacy, these are the kind of people who have been leading us for thousands of years, and they are inspiring so many people even today. The standards that they set are being still followed. The fire that they lit is still going on. It is an attempt to preserve our spiritual legacy, and that cannot be preserved unless all of you cooperate. And my humble request is, if you are hearing, please, you can order the book. It's available on Amazon or your nearest bookstores, and it's published by Westland. So not just for yourself, you read it, you can read it to your family, but if you could buy copies and distribute among your friends, family, society as well, that would be great help, because that's the only reason. My reason behind writing is not to get the tag of an author. That's never been my goal. My goal is only to reach out with this book to as many people as possible, just to make them aware of what is the greatest, I mean, the greatest wealth that we have, and just develop that divine connect. And simply by reading this book, you will see people will develop virtuous qualities automatically. So people will automatically develop virtuous qualities, because it is a divine subject matter. Once you come in touch, you will be blessed, and those who read will be blessed. So please do that. You become aware of it, and then you share it with others. And these stories at one point of time were like a feature of our household. So we just want to revive that tradition. And these stories carry spiritual potency. They have a tremendous positive impact on the spiritual consciousness. So please do read and do share.
And like Swamiji, I was telling you, the stories are written very beautifully and they're written very simply so that they can actually suitable for all ages. You can even read them to your kids because they're very beautifully done. Swamiji, any closing thoughts as we end for today? It was a very beautiful session.
No, I just want to thank you very much for allowing me to share my thoughts. And if anyone has anything to ask, I know there have been many questions. You can personally reach out to me. So Kirti ji has my number, and you are more than welcome. And as soon as possible, I'll try and get back. But it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Sukirti ji. I can feel the positivity and the good work that you're doing for all women. Wish you all the very, very, very best, because women deserve all the respect. In fact, the scriptures mention that 5 living entities must always be respected, and anybody who hurts them or makes them cry even a single tear, his life duration, name, fame, wealth, everything will be finished soon. So they are the cows, the children, the brahmanas or devotees, um, elderly people, old people, and women. So women are given so much respect in our scriptures, and they have so many responsibilities. So it's good that you're doing such a good work, taking care of their needs. At any point, if my help is needed, I'll be more than happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Swamiji. And with gratitude,
So
we end
much.
the session today.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.